Hello and welcome to another edition of Mailbag. What is Mailbag? Well, Mailbag is a feature of the channel where you guys leave lots of comments on the channel and I attempt to answer those comments, or if I can't answer those comments, I throw it out to you guys who have more knowledge on some of this stuff than I do. So let's get into the first mailbag of this session. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. Next comment or question comes from XP50 Player. In response to Kronos 2013, turn on issues, minimal viable product. A mailbag added in April 2023. XP50 writes, when something like the OASYS is made of cobbled together PC parts, we expect it to be similarly upgraded. But maybe that's an unfair expectation. The major bottleneck, in my opinion, was the ATA100 hard drive. There is no way you are going to stream samples from that and preload a file the size of the Kronos. It would have taken ages. The Kronos startup is already prohibitively long in that respect. What do you say about this? Yes, the hard drive on the Korg OASYS is a bit of a bottleneck. You could have added some of the engines that have been made available on the Kronos, and I've always thought, and always will, that the discontinuing of the OASYS was a real missed opportunity. And I'm not going to say any more on that. Next comment or question comes from Daz, and this was in response to Roland JX-3P Part 2. Getting inside the damn thing. A video I did in April 2022. I'm sure I did that in April 2022. I think I might have done that in April 2023, to be honest. Anyway, Daz writes, this was my first synth way back in 1986. I brought it second hand and it worked great except for a faulty white noise generator. When it wasn't working, the OSC sounded like a thin, reedy noise, and if you knew where to hit the case, the noise generator came back to life. That's what I like. If in doubt, give it a clout. There was nowhere to take the synth to get repaired, and I couldn't afford to repair it. Anyway, forget about doing it myself. I lived with the fault until I sold it. Many, many years later. I love that. Here's a side story. I used to work, when I was training to be an accountant, I used to do the accounts of a computer company, or a computer repair company, should I say. And the guy who ran the company said the amount of faults he fixed with a rubber mallet was quite extraordinary. Shall we leave it at that? But he said it was honestly true. A lot of faults in PCs and copiers and fax machines could be fixed with a rubber mallet. And I'll leave it at that. You can form your own opinions. But in reality, if you have to hit a case, normally what that indicates is you've got some sort of loose connection or a dry joint going on. But, you know, you've kind of hit the nail on the head with this one, which is finding a good, reasonable service technicians is really as much of a challenge now as it was 30 years ago. I've said several times on the channel that I listen to the Keyboard Chronicles channel and podcast, and it's very evident from the number of guys and girls, cool cats, that they interviewed require their own soldering iron to deal with this legacy tech because they can't find reliable, I'm going to use the word reliable, service technicians in various areas of the world. You know, and there is a, I don't know, how would I put it? I suppose, you know, there's a love of this sort of technology. I love it. It's the reason why this channel started. Really, is how do you repair it? How do you do things on technical stuff rather than playing them? So, you know, I kind of completely understood. It's the reason why we're sitting in the workshop today and surrounded by lots of tools and soldering irons and computers, etc. But the JX-3P, the synth that this video was being filmed against, is owned by the Death Beats, which is a music producer, composer of drum and bass and electronica, and this has seen a real renaissance in recent years, and these type of instruments are required for creating the music. Now, a number of people have said, oh, you just go on Roland Cloud, you download the relevant VST and you plug it in and jobs are good. But you know what, a lot of these people still like the manual feel of the synthesizer itself. The reason I've got the synthesizer, which is actually sitting just there off camera at the moment waiting to go up to storage, is because Gary wanted it repaired. It's as simple as that. He loved this synthesizer. It's one of his favourite synths. It's in the UK, whereas he is currently in Mexico. Currently lives in Mexico, but he just wanted it to be brought back to some sort of rude life that he could possibly ship it out to Mexico or wherever he ends up, I might add. So, but it has highlighted, you know, finding service technicians. And now, obviously, you know, guys, because you watch the channel, that I do a lot of this stuff myself. I do know where my limits are, though, but I do a lot of this stuff myself. But if you weren't capable of doing it yourself, or you didn't feel confident enough to do it yourself, should I say, then actually finding somebody to do it is an interesting piece, because a lot of the guys who service this stuff in years gone by are now retiring or even dying. So, you know, it becomes a bit of a, you know, a troll. You know, you're going on Facebook, you're asking for recommendations, you get a hold of somebody's name, you put out a call to them, they say they're going to charge you £8 an hour and it's 5 hours work, at which point you then go, do I really want it repaired? And that's kind of reality where we live in, especially nowadays, because, you know, the reality of where we are now is every penny counts.